Hmm. Did you happen to choose this street because this is where it all ended? How sentimental. Hey, I didn't startle you, did I? I'm rather punctual despite how much has changed. A late night stroll through the city isn't a half bad way to meet up again. You know, I didn't think you'd reach out to me after all this time. To think you still kept the same number since back then. You wouldn't believe the shock on my face when you sent that text. I mean, really? Who in their right mind tries reaching out to one of their exes after everything fell apart like that? It's been some time, and you said you had something you wanted to talk about. Have you finally reconsidered my offer? You left Jujutsu Society, only to live amongst the monkeys. I gave you a chance to leave with me, but I guess you were afraid to pick sides. I don't blame you. Having someone like Satoru as an enemy is a daunting thought. After all, I know what that's like. Though I admit, you're still as clever as I remember. Did you catch wind of what was going on? Is that why you asked me to meet today in such a crowded place? The Night Parade of 100 Demons. I thought it was a rather nice name for what I intend to do soon. I can see that you're not oblivious. Someone must have told you that the world would be in danger. Maybe someone reached out to you for help, despite you cutting off contact. So tell me, is this your ploy to stop me, or to join me? I'm not a cruel man to those of importance. I can make sure you're safe from what's to come. Are you surprised that I still hold you in such high regard? I should be surprised, considering I thought you'd never want to see me again. It's rather refreshing to finally see someone that would look at me, eye to eye, and not hold me in reverence or anger or fear. It's like you're seeing me, just like you used to. It's been some time, and really, only two people ever looked at me like I was a person. Between you and Satoru. Speaking of him, he's here, isn't he? Or at least you intended for him to be here too, right? I don't think you would have wanted to come alone, just in case. And it's hard to ignore the presence of someone like him, wouldn't you agree?
In here, I thought I was concealing myself rather well. I guess I really can't hide from either of you. It's almost a shame that I agreed to their plan to meet here. It's a bit crowded, isn't it? Though, I suppose you wanted to make sure we both had a handicap, right? Suguru was right. You are still as clever as ever. You convinced me to be here, knowing I wouldn't use my abilities in such a crowded place. And you somehow convinced him to show up too, knowing that he wouldn't attack you or try anything with me being around. With all these civilians around, it's the most neutral ground, and it keeps away from prying eyes while being in plain sight. Quite the smart cookie, if you ask me. So, what are you trying to do? You know that the tension is high right now, especially with his recent declaration of war. I've already warned you how dangerous this all is. And honestly, you're rather lucky that he did in fact come alone. I don't want to imagine the company he would have brought along otherwise.
Oh, well. Isn't that something?
You want us to all get back together. You can't be serious.
I can't tell if this is excellent or terrible timing. You certainly know how to surprise people.
If you asked me this ages ago, you know what my answer would be.
Oh? And what would that have been, Satoru?
I'm not giving you an answer.
It's written all over your face.
Shut up.
So, darling, let me make sure I understand this correctly. You want to go back to how things were. You want those good old days where we were all happy together. You, me, and Satoru. When we were all a bit younger and maybe a little more foolish. Am I understanding this correctly?
That's... Do you know how impossible that sounds? It's been so long since we all even just talked, let alone... not to mention that, well, what are we even supposed to do? Isn't there a lot to talk about? The hows and whys of everything? With both of you leaving. Not to mention, he's made himself out to be the biggest bounty in Sorcerer Society. It's not like he could just get away with everything he's done by having it swept under the rug. Don't you compare him to Yuta. He's just a kid. It was easier to sway judgment of him. There's no way I could talk my way into saving Suguru's ass from the higher-ups.
As if I'd need you to save my ass, considering how well I've been doing without you. Though, what you're proposing is rather enticing.
Huh?
You know you can be honest, Satoru. They aren't the only ones who've thought of this. I've thought about it too, often. It's probably the one thing I regret from defecting.
I... Damn it. I've never stopped loving either of you, okay? I've always kept tabs on both of you, making sure you're doing okay. I couldn't reach out to you, Suguru, because of everything. But I never outright went after you, despite what everyone wanted me to do. And I was honestly afraid to reach out to you, dear. When you left too, and you said you wanted to walk away from it all, it broke me all over again. I haven't been able to enjoy clear blue skies without thinking of the smiles we shared. I threw myself into my work to keep myself distracted. You both left a mark on me, and I hate admitting to it after all this time. There's nothing I want more, but I just don't know how to make it work. Especially because someone just couldn't stay in hiding.
Guilty as charged.
You're not going to call off the attack.
No. And you're not going to let me win.
Of course not. Then what? We're going to try and talk about all this afterwards, hoping that we'll make it out of this in one piece?
Seems like the only solution to me.
No. Please don't get upset. There's no reason to cry.
I'm glad you worked up the nerve to try and talk to us both. Makes you less of a coward compared to us knuckleheads.
I guess love really is the worst kind of curse. It definitely makes you do some stupid stuff. We're going to carry on what's to come, and we're just going to have to, I don't know, survive, I guess? Don't get yourself into any trouble until then. And we can meet again at,
Why not at that fast food chicken place? Make a proper reunion dinner.
Really? You're terrible.
I think it's rather poetic.
Fine. We can talk about things over fried chicken and, figure things out. Can I walk you home or something? To make sure you get back safely.
You're not going to let him just teleport you home, are you? I could take you home. It would just be fun to take a ride on one of my curses again, wouldn't it?
Honestly, that does sound a little fun. Ugh. afterwards. We can do that kind of stuff later. Just promise us that you'll meet us there the day after. Good.
And we'll make sure to be there too. Promise.
Yeah. Promise. Well, dear, I promise that this will be okay.
Just give us time to sort things out, darling, and we'll get back to you.
In the meantime, would you leave a like if you enjoyed the audio?
And if you aren't already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. For the adult listeners who enjoy the spicier things in life, go to patreon.com/Anigomi.
And if you like something more personalized and customized, then head on down over to anigomi.com/commissions. Bye bye for now.
Let's meet again soon, okay?